Hey guys, welcome back to Questions with Kurt, and today we're going to talk about the question, how to balance doing what you love and meeting basic financial needs. So growing up, I feel like I've been exposed to two primary schools of thought when it comes to working and life. And the first one is working hard to earn money, be financially comfortable, and essentially not be poor. And the second one is working hard doing what you love. Now, as a caveat, if what you love doing happens to be the act of becoming a millionaire or a billionaire, or what you're passionate about happens to also be just well compensated, then I'd say go do that thing. Great for you. This video discussion doesn't really affect you all that much. However, there are many number of people who are passionate about jobs and careers and industries that for whatever reason, there are fewer opportunities in and or society has deemed less financially valuable. Examples are school teacher or social worker, actor, artist, dancer, or artists in general. This discussion is probably more applicable to those people. So the question is, how do you find a balance between these two lines of thought or approaches to life? Just to start off, I don't have the answers. I don't think there are necessarily answers, like one answer that's right for everyone. I just wanted to share my perspectives and thoughts on this question in case other people have thought about it too. Me personally, I definitely was raised in one extreme, and then I went, at some point in my life, I went to the other extreme, and now that I'm in my 30s, I can safely say that I definitely see and have experienced the advantages and disadvantages to both sides of the coin. So just thinking about the first approach, I know it's a very Western concept, but I think that, doing what you love and doing what you're passionate about is important because I personally believe that it's the most sustainable way to maximize your happiness and live your best life and be your best self, as well as contribute to the world in the best way possible for as long as possible. And the reason why I think this is because when you're doing something that you love, you'll probably work your hardest at it in the most sustainable way possible, using all your best talents, your imagination, what makes you unique, what separates you from all the other people in the world. And you'll also have the purest motivation for doing it when you're working hard at something that you really love, just for the sake of doing it. But on the other side of this dichotomy that I've created, we also all need to survive in society as it is today. And with that society comes certain practical truths. We all need money to survive, money does not grow on trees, and healthcare is not universal, and life comes at us in all directions unexpectedly all the time. And as human beings, we've all agreed to this social contract that in order to obtain money legally, we all need to contribute our talents and energies to society and give something, provide something in order to function and in order to get the money and in order to live in society as it is today. And all jobs are created differently. Some pay more, some are more physically demanding, some are more psychologically demanding, some are more respected. And because of all these differences between the different jobs there are out there, when people try to do what they love and pursue their passions, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a good thing to do, we're assuming that it's a good thing to do, we're assuming that it's a beneficial thing to do, sometimes it's difficult for people to meet basic financial needs. So I think the first thing to consider when trying to balance doing what you love and what you're passionate about with meeting basic financial needs is to learn and educate yourself about the industry that you want to go into. Know what the pay will generally be, know how many opportunities there are going to be, so that you can get a better gauge for yourself how close you're going to be to meeting basic financial needs within that industry. The second thing to do is, of course, to define what basic financial needs means to you. As best as you can, try to really understand yourself, know your life circumstances, and know what you're willing to give up and what you're not. Are you willing to live with your parents or roommates all your life? Do you need to financially take care of your parents? Do you want to have kids? Are you willing to never go on vacation and experience traveling the world till you're 60? Are you willing to eat ramen, Soylent, and frozen Trader Joe's meals for extended periods of time? Are you fine being single if the nature of your job and the way you're pursuing it somehow limits your chances of finding love and a partner? Are you willing to risk not having health insurance? Are you willing to never retire and work all your life? These are just some of the few of the many questions people should ask themselves when trying to find a balance between doing what they love and meeting basic financial needs. I'm speaking from experience, of course. Many of these, if not all, are questions I've been asking myself in the past, and the answers to them have definitely changed over the years. I think when we're younger, we tend to be a lot more cavalier, because when we're young, we think that we're invincible, we're gonna live forever, and circumstances are never gonna change, which is great for that age. But it's helpful to start thinking about these things more seriously as you get older, because I mean, I'm not that old yet, but I certainly have been noticing that my body doesn't bounce back the way it used to, and I have healthcare issues and need medical attention about things that I definitely didn't need to worry about or consider just 10 years ago. And not to be depressing or be a downer, but it's only gonna get worse from here. I'm just being practical, which is great. I embrace the aging process. And not to name any names, but I've definitely read and heard successful people give advice, and they say things like, oh, you really need to give everything you've got and can't have a backup plan in order to be successful in what you want to do, or you really have to give up everything and go broke in order to get what you want and to make it. And while I think these are very aspirational pieces of advice, and I respect and admire what it's trying to say, I just wonder how sustainable and realistic it is for most people's situations. And just from my personal perspective, because of who I am, I definitely think it's harder for people like immigrants or people from poorer or less wealthy families, or where the circumstances are more difficult, to do what they love and pursue their passions, because oftentimes their parents sacrifice a lot in order to give their kids a better life. And a better life usually means a higher paying job, more money, and more respected social status. And a better life usually doesn't mean the freedom to do what you want, the freedom to fail, the freedom to try to do what you want and possibly fail. Because a lot of the times the parents are coming from family situations where they're struggling to survive. And so when their children do what they love and have the potential to fail, or even if they're happy and doing what they love and it doesn't elevate the social status or equate to more money and more power, it seems like a betrayal to the parents' sacrifice, and I can understand that. So that's why I think it is more difficult to find a balance between doing what you love and meeting basic financial needs when there's this added pressure involved. And everyone is different. Everyone has different situations. Some people, because of their genetics, have more health issues than others. Some people are born rich and born into more connections and good old nepotism than others. Some people marry rich and marry into that opportunity. People's race, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, body type, how attractive you are, all of these different factors weigh in and affect how the world treats you and what opportunities you're going to be given. It affects your chances to succeed and your chances for happiness, unfortunately. Watch my other videos for a more in-depth discussion on implicit bias. So I'm a little wary of blanket generalization pieces of advice, because everyone's different. Not everyone's going to start at the same place, and not everyone's going to end at the same place, and not everyone wants to end up in the same place. So I think the key to finding a balance between doing what you love and meeting basic financial needs is to figure out and acknowledge where you're starting from, what your starting point is, really get to know yourself, what your strengths are, what your needs are, what you're willing to sacrifice, and strive for the happiest you can be, and contribute to society as much as you can in the best way you can with the resources and opportunities that are given to you, while doing it in a sustainable way so you continue to want to do it. Because if you're not meeting your basic financial needs, I think you're going to be miserable eventually, and it'll stop being something you love doing. And I argue that you can't even pursue those passions and have fun doing it if they're both more basic health issues and basic needs that aren't being met. And of course, I acknowledge that even asking this question of how to find the balance between doing what you love and meeting basic financial needs is a very first world problem issue, because there are plenty of people in this world who live much, much below the level of meeting basic needs and even meeting basic personal physical safety. And answering the question of whether you love what you do or what is it that you want to do is irrelevant when every day is a literal struggle for survival. But for those of us who are privileged enough to ask ourselves this question, it's definitely something to constantly think about and always weigh to find out what's right for you, what's the most sustainable thing for you in order to live happy and meaningful and contributing to society in the best way we can. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of my arguments and thoughts, whether you agree or disagree, and definitely let me know what other questions you'd like to discuss in the future. Until then, bye!